several conversations with bankers on similar lines saying that, listen, your balance sheet and P&L does not support this loan. And if you back it up with collateral, then the whole aspect comes in. So how do you, it also comes down to one of the things that you're saying, how do you build relationships and how do you establish the trust to say that these are people worthy of providing a loan, right? And how can the banks take that leap of faith to trust certain entrepreneurs is another question that is coming up.
We have been banking with for the last 20 years. And if you had profit sufficient to repay the loan, I wouldn't come to you in the first place.
Correct. Exactly. Interesting.
Also, these are bankers.
So these are not new banks. These are not new banks that you went to.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks, Yukti, for sharing that. We'll, in the interest of time, we will see if we can come back to one more round. Can we get to Ashutosh?
Yeah, Sudhakar.
Ashutosh, you there?
Yep. Are you able to hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can able to hear you now.
Okay. So, listening to panelists, I guess, it looks that the kind of trouble which I've gone through is slightly kind of smaller. Over the past 3 years, we might have kind of reached a lot of banks, right, to raise debt. The challenge, what we see is that, obviously either it's a vintage issue or else they want a collateralized or secured, kind of a lending. And they don't kind of understand kind of venture debt or early stage ventures, right? Where you're building, you will have to invest. So that's one major challenge which we see. Even at times, what we have also kind of seen is that, and especially in COVID times, where we required some money. So even trying to get some overdraft against FDs was a challenge, saying that, okay, you are putting a 1 crore FD, we will give you 75 lakh rupee of OD. And that would also come with lot of things there. So finally, kind of decided to kind of break those FDs. Right, I had to break my parents' FDs to kind of sustain this time to pay the salaries and all. However, some of those very basic things in terms of the way the policy is being done, right, the way the bankers understand some of those things is also a challenge. For example, certain branch manager of a large PSU bank, they did not know that the director can actually use his FDs and put a lien to it and get an OD limit into the to the account, the current account itself. Now, these are very, very basic and frustrating things, right? When you want to do a structured debt kind of a thing, solution with them, if they don't even understand some of those basic things, that can be a major challenge. So, it's real hard in terms of at an early stage to get to a bank. And when you have ambitions to kind of grow the company, or else you have a lot of orders to service. Right. That is also something which becomes a challenge. So we had a lot of orders in logistics to service, almost in the tune of 50 crores for the next 12 months. We have not been getting adequate working capital support.
Sure.
That's been a real challenge in terms of kind of breaking in.
Sure, Ashutosh. Let's get to Durga, and then we will circle back for some closing comments by some of you. Durga?
Yes, so I just wanted to say I felt what Shivang said is exactly what I've gone through. If somebody can take the responsibility of just helping me get through whatever small things, cash flow I need, working capital or whatever it is, really asking for much. Just take that responsibility off me. I'll be able to run this business successfully. It's just one person. It's a one-woman army trying to do every possible thing, change society with my social business, and then trying to keep it afloat. And this is pre-COVID. I'm not saying that COVID I've approached any bank, because I didn't even have the guts to do it. Prior to COVID itself, I've been rejected multiple times. The reason being the branch that we bank with, this entire area is full of MSMEs, and they've said we are not interested in giving another MSME a loan. Being told outright. Every time I'm handed this Mudra loan application, by the time I go back to them, they're like, "Oh, sorry, we're not handing out anything anymore." So what banks need to do, I feel, is we have to have a different classification of loans. They have just working capital, they have this Mudra, and then they have a machine-based loan, or they have a collateral-based loan. I don't qualify for any of these. And when I say working capital, they say, we're not really interested because they have to come and do an audit of material involved and all that. So they're like, forget about working capital. I'm not interested in that. So Luhia Bakery is basically a poster child for borrowing heavily from NBFCs. We were in a situation last year where we actually had to move our premises within a month. We were just given 1 month's notice to move everything. How can you move ovens and machinery out of a place and find a new place in just a month? So I took on heavy debts from NBFCs, took a 10 lakh loan, which I've repaid in 1 year. That itself should show that, I'm capable of borrowing and repaying. But what the bank sees is that I'm a heavy risk taker. It's not that, look, you've taken that risk and you've actually mitigated it. Yes. So I think there has to be a huge change in the way people look at things. A huge way in the way loans are structured, the way people look at small entrepreneurs. It's a very general classification, and we don't fall into any of these. And of course, equity, debt, all that is going to become complicated. Taking on VC funding is going to become a complicated matter. Right. So I'm hoping that we find solutions. That's all. I've just been repeating this multiple times to everybody I speak to. Yes.
Thanks, Durga, for sharing these perspectives. And it's some you echo what the others are saying. So let's get to Shivang's comments and try and wrap up this panel in the next within the next 10 minutes, so that we can move on to figuring out where the solutions are and what the learnings for all of us can be.
Perfect. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. So I will just say that, and in hindsight, when problems started arising when we thought of scaling this business. And the reason why we thought of scaling this business is because we had a great loyal customer base. We were doing tremendous sales. We had a good repeat rate of customers, and the product was being validated in the market. So as an entrepreneur, we had all the check marks in our favor. And we thought that, okay, fine, this business is scalable and we can actually take it to the next level. And now when I look back, I think that thought is the result of all these problems. So now, moving forward, in order to scale, we all need capital. We had two options. One is go to the bank, or then reach out to an angel investor, because of course VCs weren't going to put in their hands into a relatively new startup, especially with an entrepreneur who has no experience or doesn't come from a fancy Ivy League college. When we went to the banks, they said that you guys are so new. You guys have just done business for a year and a half. If you all want, you all have a current account. You all can take up an OD and put it money. Best to have we to the bank and tell them that, okay, fine, give me some money. You have this as a collateral. So then that is when we realized that we need to look out for ways. And then we read a lot of jargon. Over it. I personally feel that find a solution, and you'll definitely find a solution. The universe works in that way. In our case, we were lucky enough to find people who actually supported us to scale the venture. Moving forward, there is one very important thing that I would like to address is, there are a lot of people in the ecosystem who say that if an entrepreneur doesn't make mistakes, he will never learn. But financially, there is no one willing to take that responsibility to support an entrepreneur to make that mistake. But I have been very fortunate, and I would like to share an anecdote. So this is my second startup. Actually, my fourth startup, but my second serious startup. So my first serious startup was called Platon Technologies. And one of my friend's dad was our angel investor, and he invested just on a PPT presentation. And he told us one very nice thing. So he said that you guys are giving in your time. We weren't drawing any salaries, of course. He said that you guys give in 2 years into this business and don't bother about the result. Just treat this as your MBA. And now when I look back, those 2 years have been the best years of my life, where I could actually learn so much more. And I have been graduated from an institution where I've actually done practical learning, and I've been there and tried to learn the trades and the tricks of the market. And COVID, we all heard that there's a relief fund for all MSMEs and there's a relief fund for all the startups. So I walk into a bank. I don't know if I should take names, but yes, I did walk into a bank. And the first thing they said that, sir, aapka current account kahan pe hai? I was like, I'm banking with this in this bank. He's like, sir, sorry, फिर हम आपको loan नहीं दे पाएंगे. I'm like, at least tell me a little bit about the scheme. He's like, कार्ड लो, पहले आप current account खोलो, फिर मैं आपको करता हूँ. So I was like, trying to understand and be empathetic and try to see from another perspective that what this person must be going through and actually educate him. That person was, had his own ulterior motives and wanted to upsell and create his own incentives. So that is one thing. At the lower level, I think people need to be more supportive.
Yeah.
And there is lack of information which is being spread. Later, when I went to 5 other banks, that's when I learned that that is only a credit extension schemes for people who already have pre-existing loans.
Sure.
And that again made me realize that, that is just putting the person into more debts. And so on and so forth. So
Sure.
I push if we could holistically look into this credit structuring or lending money to someone, this entire system, if it can be holistically developed with having a lot of factors in mind, I think we can definitely pave the right way moving forward.
Perfect.
And yeah, I think that's all I would like to say.
Wonderful closing comments, Shivang. One of the thoughts, overriding thoughts that I have across all of the conversations we've had is that how do we get the credit system, it could be banks, NBFCs, etc., to create a variety of products and solutions for the life cycle of an entrepreneur at various stages and various situations, rather than the entrepreneur trying to figure out where in the life cycle of a bank's credit do I try to fit in.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think one thought that I would want to seed with all of you as you participate over the next few days is keep looking out for ideas, innovations, thoughts that catch your attention, or saying, hey, this will make my life better, or this could potentially make my life better. Or in any of the panels, keep pushing the point of view and asking the question saying, how will this improve my life today? Right? Because we don't want to be creating solutions in vacuum. We don't want the fintech industry to be saying, okay, I've got this fantastic product, but if it doesn't work for an entrepreneur, it doesn't work. Right? So many times we fall in love with our solution and we're like a hammer looking for a nail. We try to go look for a problem. So I would want you, all of you, and all the entrepreneurs on this show to keep pushing us with the right questions over the next few days so that we can get to some place where we all feel hopeful that yes, something can come out of this. And again, we want to crack these solutions, figure out what's working, what's not working. I hope that when we come back next year for this Voice of the Entrepreneur panel, you at least solve for older issues. We'll come out with newer issues. That's what life is all about. But at least we can say that, okay, that's how to solve all the new problems. Right? So with this, I appreciate each of your comments. I know I'm begging all people are supporting us in the community because they want to solve. So I try to solve these problems in so that get more.
Thank you.
On what we do.
Right. Thank you, Madan. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madan.